Alright, I'm finally here. That's done, but then I wasn't ready, so. Anyway, hi everyone. Welcome to the Friday special. I'm GB, also known as Cute Peggies, and welcome. It's Off the Devil again, episode 2. Hope you're doing good. Last time, we were stuck in a trial, kind of wondering what the heck we were doing. Because unfortunately we had this thing called a dude named Makoto Ikaria who kept not shutting the fuck up. But yeah, no, I am really excited. Off the Devil's amazing, and last time we did end up the first leg of the trial. Now we're gonna enter the second leg of the trial, which I don't know how it's gonna go, but I'm excited. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this game and everything. If you're not aware, I am GP, also known as Cute Fangies. I play video games very fast sometimes, and sometimes I play video games not very fast. This is the case. We're gonna be playing on Friday special. And mostly as a quick reminder, next week, I'm not gonna be doing a Friday special. I will be at Highway to Help. I will be running Gunvolt free, 1 hour usually before my usual start time. Which, you know what? That's great. 8 p.m. CET. We get to have some Highway to Help fun with Gunvolt free. I'm gonna be third run of the day. And third run of the event, so go get excited. We're gonna be doing things. There's gonna be Poppy Gunvolt, the incentives again. Lucifer is gonna be on my comms. We're gonna have what a boy John, what a join boy. I forgot the order. As my host, as our host. He's gonna be great. I'm really excited. But yeah, outside of that, next week will also be pretty normal because my Frost Fatales run will be on the 8th, so it will not be on the Friday. So I hope you're excited for that. We're gonna have another Friday. We're gonna have a Friday stream next week, the week after, not this next week, but the week after. It's gonna be fun. As always with Friday specials, I play games with heavy themes and everything. So content warnings are displayed on the pinned message. Viewer discretion is advised, again. But if you're watching on YouTube, here are your content warnings. Descriptions and stylized depictions of violence, murder, and implied psychological torture. Have fun! But for real, we're gonna continue. We're literally in the middle of the trial, so there's not gonna be much of, like, depictions, but probably descriptions. In any case, let's go for it. As a reminder, I am playing on high roller difficulty, which means that I am literally gambling my chances away. And if I mess up, I mess up. Alrighty. So Ria Holdings is not part of House Ikaria. No, it is. House Ikaria is comprised of the literal Ikaria family, Ikaria Financial Group, and Aurea Holdings. But each of those parts is a separate identity from the others. That is very confusing. No, well, yes, it can be confusing, but it protects us. Protects the IFG? No, protects the house from itself. If everyone in the Ikaria family was a member of the IFG, and the IFG was called the Ikaria family, that'd be much simpler. I know it would be simpler, but that's... Who the hell is this guy to keep Rockford waiting? Are you addressing your question to me? I've never met the man. Well, he's met you, smacked you upside the head and cuffed you. If you say so. I told you, I don't remember anything after I walked out of that holding room. Chime in at any time. Apologies, Adonai. I was just trying to answer your question. Who the hell is Officer Rogers? You find his socials or something? I found a news story attached to a live feed. Shaking hands with some men at the top of some stairs. Right now? What's the headline? City Council members thank Heroic Officer for his service. Oh. Well, that makes sense. Oh, can it? Emma's outranked. If the politicians decided now is the time to do photo ops, she doesn't have the pull to go against them. Are Officer Chopin's parents there? Yes, both of his fathers were present. Adoptive fathers. Are you trying to make me feel better? Adoptive or not, they are his parents, and their pain is real. Of course. But that pain would be equally real if they weren't expressing it in front of those cameras, don't you think? If you're feeling guilty, Sasuke, please get it out of your system before the trial resumes. I don't feel guilty. Even if I did kill that officer, I wouldn't lose sleep over it. That doesn't make it right. Taking a life? Parents having to outlive their children. And here I thought you'd be all about filial piety. You're telling me you wouldn't take a bullet for your patriarch, Daisuke? Of course I would. And force him to outlive his son. How could you? Adopted son from a branch family. Do I need to point out how badly you're contradicting yourself? Daisuke Hikaria could let me waste away when the rest of the Hayakawa branch was killed. Instead, he placed me at the right hand of power, a seat of honor. A subservient seat. All seats are subservient. Not the one at the top. I didn't know the rest of your birth family died, Sasuke. Retaliation for the fall of the leaves. Quite a dignified way to refer to the Ikaria killing all those blue bloods 30 years ago. Anyway, it was my understanding that that was a complete and total victory. The kind that left the blue bloods incapable of counterattacking. Very nearly so. You disapprove of what happened 30 years ago, Sasuke? Of course not. The barbarity of the house's enemies left it with no other choice but to act. No way out, huh? By the way, I was asked to pass along a message to you. If you're given a way out, take it. Who told you that? Now, it doesn't probably matter much, but I think that it would color the situation better if I would say Makoto. But saying Mirai would also be like, I don't respond to this kind of thing. So I'm gonna go with Makoto. Makoto, of course. You're a good liar. I did pass the bar. I'm not criticizing you, not exactly. You just need to know more about your Mark's relationships before making that kind of claim. Makoto would never say such a thing. Okay, so saying Mirai would have been a better choice anyway. Never even if presented as a tactical retreat? How's this then? I got a distinct impression that I wasn't supposed to say. You may be right about that. Forget I asked. There's so many members of the house who want me to. So did that message mean anything to you? I'm not sure. You're a terrifically helpful client, you know that? There's something you should know about me. About the Hound of Ikaria. Well, before we actually do anything of that, I need to actually blow my nose. Alright, just blew my nose. Let's go for it. I didn't earn that title as a bodyguard or head of security. I didn't learn how to kill in the military. The Hound of Ikaria is the house's personal assassin. What happened to the House of Ikaria being refined? Elevated above their criminal past? The house is elevated. That status has granted it more enemies than ever. Enemies that need to be taken out silently, but undeniably. Undeniably? What do I do is send messages. They need to be received by the right people, and they do need to know who it's from. You kill so that the other houses in the nobility know that it was the Hound, but can't prove that House Ikaria was responsible. Their own pride over being able to handle things internally and their humiliation of being outplayed ensures that devs stay out of the papers. So the entire police force can descend on a jaywalker caught by a reflection off of a dash cam. But the nobility gets to wave off the surveillance state with a perfumed handkerchief, taunting how the rules don't apply to them. Like I thought, a very pure expression of power. So all that talk of you being Makoto's head of security, that was all true. I have been Makoto's head of security for the past year. Did your career business dry up? Circumstances around Makoto had changed. I was asked to step in and fill a role. And what you said about guarding the previous heir, waving your katana around as soon as you could walk. The circumstances were different then too. Aw, baby Sarah. Why tell me now? Because now that I've seen her, I don't think Rockford will have missed it. Now, why didn't you tell me yesterday the first time we met, when I could have actually prepared for this? Clearly you've got some deeply held desire to rot in prison since you want to help me win this case. But what happened in the last 5 minutes that you suddenly got cold feet? I don't know. Yesterday I thought you were just some outsider in over the head who would surely drown if they knew who they were defending. Today I think you're an insider, in over the head, who could stay afloat with a lifeline. Thanks for the heads up. 5 minutes notice really comes in handy when your clients ask you to catch a bullet. Excuse me. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Sarah. I can't imagine you're pleased to be defending a self-confessed killer. I don't know what you went through when you were a soldier. And I have no idea what you've gone through as an assassin. Yesterday, Denai suggested I shouldn't speak about these kinds of things, since I have no experience with them. I don't know if she's right about that. But soldiers and assassins do exist in this world, and they are still people. And I think I would be sad if I couldn't talk to any of them. On a related note, could you catch a bullet, Sosuke Ikaria? No, Sarah. But you're a cybernetically enhanced martial artist. Bullets are very fast. Yeah, they go very fast, faster than the speed of sound. That is true. I could probably catch an arrow if you knew it was coming. Tell me more! Of course she is like that. Okay, we're back in the courtroom. So you and your partner were the second officers to arrive on the scene. That is correct, ma'am. When the 10-999 went out, my partner and I were relatively center city. We were within jogging distance of the site after an elevator ride, so we proceeded on foot. Rogers still hasn't shown. Evan must have rushed London to adjust to the reshuffled docket. I assume he was rushed. He does seem somewhat distracted. We arrived on the premises at 10:21 p.m. At 10:27 p.m., we assisted Officer Rogers in completing his arrest of the suspect. What did that involve? Reading rights to an unconscious man? That's a good bit! We helped Rogers finish cuffing the suspect, is what I meant. His hands were shaking. Your witness, counselor. I'd like to ask London why he wasn't explicit at all about this yesterday. And complaining about a detective not being forthcoming with the defense isn't exactly a winning strategy. He didn't hesitate to show me his involvement with the mafias yesterday. What's he's got left to hide? Alright, buddy. Yes, I'm in that blind -10. What were you and your partner in Center City that night, detective? Well, to be honest, I hadn't eaten dinner yet and I was really in the mood for some kind of hot soup, you know? And my partner was kind enough to indulge me on taking a drive. That's all he's gonna say. It's not like I can call him a compromised witness just because he was in the area, but... what the hell is there even to press when his answers is that simple? Almost tempted to... We're not gonna go for it immediately. We're gonna ask more questions. Now, how did you and your partner go about clearing the building? I took point and my partner covered me, checking the rooms behind us as we went. It was tense, searching the rooms with that rocket blaring from upstairs. We were still searching for suspects, even though there was a 10999 on the 3rd floor. Rogers had already reported the manner of his partner's death, Counselor. We weren't gonna run upstairs to try and defibrillate. How was that report made? overcomes around 10:17. Okay. Arrived on the premises at 10:21. Report was made over at 10:17. Okay. Oh, good to know. Is it common practice to separate from one another when responding to a 10999? Is one of several valid approaches the department advises in critical scenarios. I'm gonna stay. I got one thing, but I will see. Dumb question, detective, but did you have your body camera on? Officers aren't required to turn on body cameras when responding to an emergency, counselor. And detectives aren't required to work body cameras at all. Like I said, dumb question. That feels too... too easy to go on this one. I'm gonna push on this one. Okay, no, I'm not asking this. That is way too complicated. I'm gonna push on the body cams, I guess. But by any chance, did your partner have a body camera going? Perhaps out of a characteristic abundance of respect for the rules. Matter of fact, I believe she did. So of the first 4 of our city brave policemen who arrived at the scene of the crime, only one of them thought to turn their body cam on. It is my understanding that Rogers couldn't turn his on, as it had broken earlier in the week. And Tariq Chopin? I don't know why he didn't have his on. Does Emma know? Does Officer Rogers? Did you ever lose sight of your partner? I might have. So she might have lost sight of you. Speculation, Your Honor? If I can't see you, you can't see me. That's not speculation, Your Honor. Just great school logic. Overruled. I don't know why I did this voice for this one. Spill the deets, witness! Yes, me and my partner were separated as we cleared the building. For more than a minute, I'd say. Interesting. Thank you for giving us all that of that to chew on, Detective London. Come on, give me a break. I was trying to be helpful. No, I mean it. I'm especially interested to hear you describe how my client was unconscious and helpless by the time he first appeared on any body cam. Shall we review that footage together? I wonder if we can pinpoint exactly how many wounds he received in between his arrest and when his mugshot was taken. Redirect, Your Honor? Really? What is she doing now? The prosecution called Detective London as their witness and asked their questions. Adonai just had the chance to ask her own questions during the cross-examination. After the cross-examination, the people can redirect if they have any additional questions for the witness. But is it just one for them and one for us? Well, like an eye for an eye for an eye until justice is blind and bloody. She wants another round. Why? The stalling? Detective London, are you aware of an ongoing police investigation for a figure known as the Hound of Icaria? Not stalling. Approach, Your Honor? Wait, do I finally get to say the line? Hold on, is this happening too fast? Okay. Oh, so they're already there. This Hound of Icaria is obviously some kind of case file that the Organized Crime Department is working on. Detective London isn't qualified to speak on it. Homicide, organized crime, is there that big a difference? Depends on the carrier of the witness in question. Detective London, for example, spent 6 years in the Organized Crimes Unit. You what? You didn't know that? Where are you taking this, Emma? I hate to admit it, but I think I need spoilers as well. If you ask him about this, what's he gonna say? That the Hound of Icaria is an assassin who leaves calling cards at each of his kills, terrorizing the house's perceived enemies without shame. And that the lead suspect in those cases is a man at Haranso's case age and height, with grey blue hair, a modded spine, and a large tattoo of a dog across his back. Sosuke, you vain son of a bitch, you got made with your shirt off? Bless you. You cannot let the jury hear that, Your Honor. But I really want to. If organized crimes wanted to arrest Sosuke, they should have done so already. He's on trial here today for these 5 counts and nothing else. The defense has once again claimed that their client is merely some veteran who has been victimized by greater forces. But the police believe that he is in fact the deadliest soldier the Ikaria have at their disposal. That's not irrelevant. No, it's just prejudicial as hell. Girls fighting. Oh my god, no, I'm taking this one. Oh god. But obeying the legal precedent, but attention's to human drama. He'll just be giving a summary. The case file won't even enter the record. So you won't even give me the chance to object to the evidence. Your Honor, if you do this, the jury will be spoiled within seconds and I will have my client served up a mistrial before the day's through. And some other lucky adjutant will get to have all the rest of the fun. I severed the jury's feed for the time being. I'd like to hear exactly what the witness has to say before ruling on this testimony's inclusion. But Your Honor, the gallery, it's not your concern, not a concern of justice. This trial will remain open to the public until such a time as I or the state feel like it shouldn't be. Decision made! Thank you, Your Honor. What just happened? The jury's gonna take a bathroom break. Emma will get to ask her questions, but in all likelihood, the adjutant would make sure they never hear the answer. So we aren't any worse off? Sosuke might be. What do you mean? This gallery's filled to the brim with cops. They all think he killed Chopin. And if London regales us all with the Tales of the Hound's exploits, on top of that... Don't worry, Sosuke. They can't do anything to you here. Because we're in a courtroom. I won't spend the rest of my life in this room, Sarah. And even if I could, I wouldn't. Detective London, if you would. Please testify as to the... Oh, for real? Your Honor? What now? Hey, Rockford, that witness guy who flaked on you made you look dumb? Yes? He's finally here. Thank you, Your Honor. I have no more questions for the witness at this time. Really? But the redirect fizzles out! Counselor, you want to snap it up? No, Your Honor. And Detective London! Nobody wants to talk to your ass! God! Miss Rockford let it go. She doesn't hold anything back in the courtroom, but only because that's what gives her the greatest chance of victory. If the jury wouldn't hear it either way and she has no need to stall for time, she wouldn't stoke the coals for the fun of it. So if you hadn't fought against that redirect up to the very last moment... Bullet caught, huh? Yeah, nothing impressive about putting my arm between the gun and my... Heart? I was gonna say stomach. The analogy seems weaker, though. I don't think that putting your hand in front of the gun barrel would help. There he is, the man of the hour. The hero who put a stop to the Hound of Ikaria and brought justice to the city over the loss of its favorite son, Tarek Chopin. Patrol Officer Rogers reporting for duty. You don't have to say that. Oh, sorry, then just reporting for duty. Name and occupation. Patrol Officer Yuhi Rogers. Occupation Patrol Officer. Let's meet the man. Yuhi Rogers. Date of birth June 16th. Height 184 centimeters, weight 77 kilograms, blood type AB-, occupation police officer, Lower Wards Patrol, likes saltwater, rosemary, graffiti art, dislikes sands. Damn, me too, buddy. I don't like sand. It's rough and coarse, and gets everywhere. Marshmallow is the lottery. Wakes up at 5:30 a.m. Oh, man. Can't stand mice. Fuck you. Balance? Easily upset. Oh no, poor baby. Former partner of Tarek Chopin. Apologies for earlier. It's fine. The court understands that the city council had need of you. When I said my name wrong, what happened again? And your tardiness? What's that? being hours late to this trial. Did I not set a reminder? Oh, we're gonna have fun. Does seeing him here in the flesh jog your memory at all? No, not at all. I think this guy would be pretty hard to forget. He must have sustained quite a concussion then. As an appetizer. What I saw, he's lucky nothing important leaked out of his ears. Shall we begin, Officer Rogers? Right, from where? The start. Oh, well, it was a pretty, normal night. Me and Chopin were just driving our windows down. It was always getting caustic if the windows weren't down. Then around 9:45 or so, my partner heard shots fired. So off we went. What does that mean? Well, shots echoed down in the lower ward, so I wasn't too sure about the direction. But my partner was confident that it'd have something to do with the Blue Bloods. That area is a known hotspot. As we neared the street, we saw people slinking away from it. We got the message. People can sense that kind of trouble even when they don't know it. Something bad had gone down and no one wanted anything to do with it. Front door wouldn't budge. I peeked around into the alley, but the fire escape was out of commission. Then my partner shot clean through the door handle. Chopin was that determined to get inside based on some echoed gunshots and a few context clues. Suppose context clues are most of what I used to find the place too, but... So when you arrived, the only way into the building was locked. Yeah, and so we had a strong reason to believe the shooter was still in the vicinity. I wasn't faded or waiting for backup at this point, but my partner, he was convinced the place was dead empty already. It was moving a good bit faster than me right up until we got to the second floor, and we heard a loud slam. A slam? What kind of slam? Like slam? Or like slam? Or like slam? I don't know. It was loud though. And Chopin gets all deadly serious and insists I stay, and he goes ahead. Up to the 4th floor. After a bit, he yelled down to me saying everyone was dead and I should come join in. That's when I heard another heavy thud. I didn't know he was the sound of my partner's body hit in the floor. But I put 2 and 2 together when I saw that man's hair sitting over him. Let the record show that the witness has finally identified the defendant. If you heard a noise at the crime scene, the natural conclusion would be that you were not alone. But if Chopin thought they weren't alone, why would he insist on speeding up? Probably to avoid crossfire, but also to prevent escape. I think it would be to prevent escape. That's it. Chopin must have wanted to split up so that it could cut off possible routes of escape. Perhaps I can shed some light on the late officer's actions. With more speculation. With some helpful theorizing. Capped off with hard evidence. Officer Chopin explicitly told his partner to stay behind, and the only reason he'd do that is if he thought it had let them catch an escaping suspect. Why would he think a suspect was escaping if he heard a noise upstairs? You wouldn't. You only think a suspect was escaping if the noise he heard was... Oh, that was wrong sounds. Yeah, if it was there. A noise that came from the alley. What kind of noise would that be? A noise like the one I was treated to when Detective London clumsily shut the dumpster out there. Hey, now, he left my ears ringing too, you know. What are you even talking about? I'm talking about an exit plan. In other words, how the real culprit managed to flee the scene. How does the dumpster lid relate to some imaginary suspect's great escape? 1963, 172 minutes. 72 minutes. The only way to get from the 3rd floor to the street without getting past the 2 cops clearing the building would be by going down the fire escape and into the alley. A fire escape that's broken, so no one could climb up it. But anyone could jump from it onto the dumpster below. Oh yeah! I can kinda see it. That must be a dead pixel you're seeing, Your Honor. Why there footprints on top of the dumpster? A dent in the lid. Well, that's... no? Of course not. So there's no proof, no reason at all to think that anyone jumped down onto it. No reason for us to entertain this train of thought. Damn it, I've got nothing. Even if there had been damage to the dumpster, I could never prove it was caused by a fleeting culprit. I don't know. I'm thinking. I know, but might this not possibly be the time for you to stop thinking, and instead flip the go board like you told me to do before? You're horribly misquoting me. But Emma says there's no proof that anyone fled the crime scene. If there was proof of that, what would it look like? Proof that someone was in that room when the police first arrived, but not there when the police got to the third floor. They would have had to take the fire escape if Rogers never saw them. And they couldn't have taken the fire escape without first opening the window. It's been bothering me since yesterday. I was sure those windows were closed when I left, but they've been open ever since the scene was secured. And I can't testify to that. The one time I know the truth and I want to get it out. I can't admit it without screwing myself over. Adonai, any luck? Pardon the interruption, Your Honor. I have no objections at this time. Then the witness may continue. Please do. But rewind a bit first, if you could, since we got off topic. And don't spare any detail. Tell the court exactly what you saw, felt, and heard that night. Of course, the witness is a trained officer of a city's prestigious police force. Doubt it, Emma. This man is not even able of, shooting a gun correctly. He'll gladly recount every minutiae for us, line by line. Like, every detail? Especially the irrelevant ones! Sir, yes, sir. I did get a little in my head just now. But I listened through his whole testimony at least once before I started looking for holes. It was a quiet night, but then my partner heard gunshots. We headed for the nearest known orca spot and arrived to find the building dead quiet. The door was locked. I checked the alley but didn't see another way in. So Chopin shot off the lock through the handle and we entered. Followed some kind of loud music up the stairs, then there was a slam and my partner bolted upstairs. About a minute later, I heard a thud from upstairs and came running. To find the defendant standing over my partner's dead body. Something stand out to you the night? Yeah, my ears pricked up a bit. The saying is perked up, is it not? What? Let me focus. We have a sound system with a fire escape and the front door. It was a quiet night, but then my partner heard gunshots. Okay. Gunshots is possible. Find the building dead quiet. It was locked. I checked the alley, but didn't see another way in. The Chopin shot off the lock through the door and we entered. Followed some kind of loud music up the stairs. Okay, so there was still the audio. The thud from upstairs and came running. Dead body. It sounds like quite the sensory overload, hearing it described in such detail. Yeah, could have been very overwhelming, but the five senses are still bound by logic. He's claiming something that contradicts this crime scene as we know it. He was following some loud music, but he could still hear the body drop. Which is what I think is the situation. The building dead quiet, that makes sense. But the door was locked. I checked the alley but didn't see any other way in. Shut off the lock. Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of loud music up the stairs. Then there was a slam and my partner bolted upstairs. The minute I heard a thud from upstairs and came running. Then there was a slam. I heard a thud from upstairs and came running. The building couldn't be dead quiet unless the thing's closing in. Which is one makes me think like it's probably this situation. Yeah, I'm gonna go for... The slam is possible, but the thud is the weird one. Like, how can you hear the body fall down if it was under the music? Okay. No. Okay. Hi, Ari. Oh! Thank you for the lyric. Also, the girl's flirting right in front of me! Oh. Damn. Damn, they're flirting. Pardon? Normies! Get overruled! Okay. Can't be doing this. Sound system. Fire escape. Front door. Wait. Give me a second. Don't be... Oh! How is the building dead quiet when the sound was supposed to be coming? Yeah, makes sense. How could you arrive to find the place dead quiet when there was a sound system blaring on the top floor? The witness must not have heard the sound system. This is a noisy city, even at low watts he... Oh, you don't fuck. But he did hear the music. He described it in his testimony just now. Pulled some kind of loud music up the stairs. So the building was dead quiet when you were outside, but you could hear music from the first floor. Well, yeah, I heard the music pretty much as soon as we stepped inside. Only after you stepped inside? Yeah, study door, I guess. Your Honor, the witness has established that the front door was very secure and tightly locked. There's nothing strange about it blocking some amount of sound. But it blocked out, like, all the sound. Once the door was open, the music was booming. The scene of the crime was a known Blue Blood property, yes. A safe house apartment complex of sort, as I understand it. They must have made a number of modifications. That front door suddenly looked like a newish addition. Check. Maybe they redid the windows, too. I don't get it. I don't mind stating it plainly, Your Honor. That building had been thoroughly insulated. Or soundproofed, if you want to prefer. Technically insulated also can be like, but I'm gonna go with... I'm gonna go with the normal thing, which is soundproof, because otherwise if I'm going to be like, oh, insulated means also soundproof, like, yeah, no. You think the building was soundproofed? I know it was. I experienced it myself, stepping out of the lower wards and into its dingy nightclub vibe. That would explain what the witness experienced, wouldn't it? Perhaps, but that wouldn't explain the building being dead quiet when they arrived. Unless the window next to the sound system was closed. Showed my hand a little bit there. She knows what I'm gunning for. Counselor, asking the court to accept that the building happened to be soundproof is not the flawless argument you're making out to be. The window in question opens to the alley. Rogers could have easily missed the noise coming out of it. Even though he already testified that he checked the alley before his partner shut the door open. He might have merely neglected to mention that he heard music at the time. Music in the alley? I would have noticed that kind of thing, right? Pass on the uptake, this one. I'm looking at these arcs from every angle I can, rotating cubes in my mind as... Shut up! I can't rotate cubes! I'm still seeing a crime scene where the windows are open. What am I doing wrong? There's a trick to it. Try focusing on just a single cube first, once you've got one spinning consistently. Yes, Your Honor, the windows were found open. It's a contradiction. The windows were closed when the officers arrived, but open by the time Rogers got to the third floor. That means that someone must have opened them. Someone not currently on trial, Your Honor. You should stretch before attempting mental gymnastics, that intense, Counselor. Claim that the windows were originally closed, and only opened at the last moment that some mystery individual fled down into the alley. We know Creek was standing in front of those windows when he was shot. And we can see where his blood landed, on the sides of the window that face came into the room when open. If, as you claim, the windows were closed when he was shot, then his blood somehow ended up on the wrong side of the glass. That's... Your theory is flawed, a far-flung fantasy with nothing other than Officer Rogers' poor hearing to support it. All the actual evidence shows that at the time of the murders, the windows were exactly as we found them, flung open. The logic isn't faulty, and I can't overturn it without any given piece of evidence. But I can point out the flaw in how she's presented her evidence. Thank you for the advice about taking full advantage of ARCs, by the way. But trust me, there are some things that are best understood by visiting the crime scene in person. What? Helps keep you from getting flipped around. The blood is on the handles. Yeah. Apologies, Your Honor. I'm just confused. Why is Miss Rockford talking about these windows? As if they swing open. What are you talking about? Those windows don't swing into the room. They're pulled to the side. What? Didn't you see the fingerprints they found on the handles? One look at that should tell you which side of the glass faces indoors. Funny, wasn't that in the arcs? Oh, this is a very chic interior design I'm seeing. Very wabi-sabi. So if the windows only slide parallel to the walls, it wouldn't matter whether they were open or shut when Creek was shot. The blood would always end up on the same side. Hey! I said I finally got the windows lined up right in the arcs. You didn't say that. At least not out loud. Thank you for always listening, Sarah. But I said it just now, so whatever. What do you mean lined up? The blood spatter! Yeah, if you put both together, they're in. Looks a lot nicer, doesn't it? Yes, thank you, Your Honor. That is so inappropriate for an adjutant to do. But it's gotten us all on the same page. We can all reasonably conclude that the windows were closed when Crick was shot, at the very least. Yes, though when they were next opened is something you'll fight over, I'm sure. Now, if this ARCS data could just tell me whether the windows are actually soundproof. I doubt the ARCS could simulate that accurately for you, Your Honor. But if we re-examine the scene for that specifically, it should be simple enough to waste the court's time. Oh, she's back. Forgive me for repeating myself, Your Honor, but even if we prove conclusively that the windows were soundproof, the defense argument still hinges entirely on the omission of one detail in the witness's testimony. Putting it another way. Just because he didn't hear the music, that doesn't mean he couldn't hear the music because the soundproof windows were closed. The devil's proof. Yes, and you actually used it right this time. I did my reading. She's effectively conceded that the windows were soundproofed. But she also shifted tactics, and it's information I don't recognize. As to be expected, I'm no general. But I don't need Makoto here to tell me that war is deception. So how about a little misdirection? Listen up, Sarah. The important thing about the devil's proof is that it's always on our side. The side of underdogs, lovers, and dreamers the world around. The side of the defense, innocent until proven guilty. That is what makes the devil so infuriating for the persecution. The people make a fair point, Your Honor. There really isn't any hard evidence for my fleeing suspect fury at the moment. But the people haven't disproven it either, have they? I forget the exact details, Your Honor, but all we need is a shadow of a doubt, right? To overturn 5 dead bodies, the testimonies of 3 cops, and a room soaked to the floorboards in forensic evidence? Yeah. Oh no! Have you lost your mind? Are you trying to piss off everyone here? Yes. Come on, you don't hate my fury that much, do you? I'm warming up to it. And I'll stick to the facts for now. At the time Rogers and Chopin arrived, the front door was locked. The music was still playing at the scene of the crime, even if Rogers didn't notice it until stepping inside. And at this moment Krieg was shot, at least we can be certain that the soundproof windows were behind him were closed. Yes, those are the facts. Why are you restating them? Because there's something that's been bothering me. If we accept these are the facts, one part of the Honorable Officer Rogers' testimony makes no sense. How do you hear gunshots? If the building was soundproofed? How could its 2 officers have set up in response to the sound of gunshots? If the room was deafened at the time the gun was fired? Now you go there? Oh, crap, yeah. Wait, excuse me, what are you talking about? It's the very first thing you told us, officer. Your partner had gunshots. But how is that possible? But he said it. He said it. Even on the radio, he called it in. True enough, I can see right here in the police network's database. 9:45 p.m. Officer Tariq Chopin reports shots fired. So he did, and since we can't ask him to testify, we'll just have to take him at his word. But just to clarify, Officer Rogers, are you saying you never heard any gunshots yourself? Well, I didn't have my head out of the window like him, so... That's what you're trained to do, isn't it? Report anything you see or hear across the network? Well, one report is usually sufficient, but confirmation is always ideal, right? Yes or no, Officer Rogers? I never heard any gunshots. Hang on, are you really... So you never heard a peep, but your partner... He somehow managed to waltz you both over to exactly where 4 vicious murders had been committed, before anyone else got there. I just drove where he pointed, so... Counselor, you need to be very careful here. Thank you for your consent, Mrs. Rockford. But don't forget, I hate losing. Pardon? I said, but don't forget to direct your comments to the bench. You bring up that now. Every cop in the room already thinks I'm a mob lawyer at this point. Compared to that, mocking the memory of the deceased is small time. I feel like you're gonna say something shocking here, and I should stop you. But I can't really stop you before you say it, so... I'm just confused, that's all, Your Honor. How could Officer Chopin have possibly arrived at the scene of a crime where he couldn't have heard any gunshots? Unless he was asked to come there directly. Oh, like he got an evite? Exactly. Officer Chopin answered a distress call from the Blue Bloods. Tumult? Tumult. Because it's a French word. I know that one. Tell me, these her usual tactics? Turning the entire city against her for no discernible reason? No. Well, the first time we met, she did technically... Your Honor, the defense is completely out of line. The gallery's pretty poorly behaved too. You gonna rein this in, or should I? Allow me. Tariq Chopin was an upstanding officer with no marks on his record. You say he was some kind of blue blood pawn, but he had to break into the building in order to enter. And you had the gall to claim he answered a distress call when there's no panic button, no phone records to suggest one was ever sent. True. True? That's all you have to say after posthumously accusing the son of 2 city councilmen of being corrupted by blue blood pocket change? It's a fair point. Chopin was the son of 2 city councilmen, and by all accounts a dedicated police officer. He wouldn't work with the Blue Bloods without an unusually strong motive. The kind of thing that would make the headlines. What are you... The city council is evaluating new security contracts ahead of next month's convention. And you think what? That the Blue Bloods own stock in the corporations involved? Never hurts to diversify your portfolio. Save the financial advice. Okay, so it's not that. Feds involved in Hunt. That will probably be the thing. I am lacking the one in question. Ballot measures? Okay, that was the one. Officer Chopin would not compromise his well-documented morals for anything less than enough shaking opportunity. Yes, Counselor, but his family is very well off. What could this earth-shaking opportunity possibly would have been? How about a donation to his parents? What? Sidebar for a moment. What? How are you thinking about voting? Oh, don't get me started. I'm a political junkie. What are you? Sorry, on the ballot measures specifically. Uh-huh. Am I the only one who sweats over this stuff? Maybe it's old-fashioned, but I was hoping to hear some diverse nuanced opinions on Proposition 492. Wait, but that's the funding of Atlas Pillar regeneration projects. I think it's a nice idea. Bringing prosperity to lower wards, literal stability to everyone above them. And of course, the mother of all paydays to anyone lucky enough to own the land it'll require. Wait a minute, you mean... Am I the only one who reads the news anymore? Wasn't counting on this being rhetorical, but... Who on the city council is sponsoring Proposition 492? Chopin's parents? One last question. Less rhetorical this time. I completely that they were both on this one. On this one, that is my fault. I completely forgot about that situation. Less rhetorical this time. This crime took place at a known Blue Blood property. So why was this found there? Yeah, I guess the red ink is the one. Highly confidential red ink documents were found underneath Chopin's corpse. They're almost entirely illegible by now, but you can still make out a reference to P492 right here. That struck me as odd. Reinforcing the canopy. A state construction project that massive in the lower wards would mean. Even the police can't keep a crime scene secure down there unless they're willing to play ball with the Blues. I'll have to get past the Blue Bloods. Or fruit them, with open arms and firm handshakes. Just what the hell are you trying to say? Councilor Morgan, if you... Sorry, wasn't sure I actually had to spell it out, but it certainly looks like. Parole officer Tariq Chopin was working with the Blue Blood Mafia to defraud the city. Uh-oh. Whoa, indeed! Let's go for a break, because ads are rolling in 1 minute, and let's go just now. I'll be right back, and we'll see how this goes on. Alright. We're back and, you sure said something. If you're not aware, by the way, everyone, I'm gonna quickly show the line again. Patrol Officer Tariq Chopin was working with the Blue Blood Mafia to defraud the city. Fun times! Ooh. Gekido? Oh no, she spit people. She pissed people. She said it. She said that? What did you just say? Are you trying to piss off every cop and every politician in the city? Sorry, I'll gladly retract my statement. That is, as soon as any cop or politician or prosecutor can explain to the court how Tariq Chopin was able to arrive at the crime scene that night. Also, I didn't say it out loud. Hi, Lucifer. I hope you're doing good. Hope you had a wonderful night. We're gonna continue our little trial here. When we all know damn well he never heard any gunshots. It is a bit of a pickle. What you got up for us, witness? What? I don't know. He had good ears or something. Or good intuition or whatever. Your Honor, the simplest explanation is that Officer Chopin was tipped off by a CI that he neglected to inform his partner about. Hey, Chopin wasn't a patrol officer with secret criminal informants that he'd hide from his own partner. That sounds horribly corrupt. And you called my comments inflammatory. Corrupt? You got some brass, alright. That's real rich coming from a mob lawyer defending the Hound of Icaria. Big uh-oh. Your Honor, the witness' last statement was a regrettable slip of the tongue. Frankly, his entire testimony has been less than ideal, and so I'd already sniped the jury's feed with the crowd. Seriously? He's the Hound? But isn't the Hound that cop killing animals? You did the whole house stank like shit. What would you say about a man's family, you... Oh, what, you'll stab us in the back too? Sosuke, please calm down and shut up. Bad apple, hang the whole house with him. Oh damn, that only matters for you, for the others, not for the cops, huh? Your Honor, these outbursts from the gallery are not ideal, but we need to focus on preventing. It's not enough you budget him like that. Animals. You gotta pay this lawyer to spit on his grave too? At least the Blue Bloods know their place. How dare you, while you pigs were colluding with Blue Bloods to rip off everyone in the lower wards. But our Blue Blood had the piss running in your vein. Sarah, hold him. Pardon? Stop him from doing anything stupid now. Okay, it was fun, but now you ruined it. You're all done. This court is now in recess. Bailiffs, clear the room. It's not enough. Now, I'm not done talking. I want to speak. Tell him, Rogers. This heat. Burn their house! Tensions like haze in the air. Rip him out by the roots! And on the back of my neck. Every last one. You're taking you out when I had the chance, you... A bead of sweat and something that feels like... Die, you son of a bitch! Behind us. Get down! What am I reaching for? I don't even have my gun. Thank fuck, London! Hey, are you okay? Are you hit? Sosuke, I'm not injured. The danger's gone. The heat of the moment, replaced by the chill of cold sweat on my lower back. But why did you push me down? What do you mean, why? Why did I take my time turning back to trace the bullet's trajectory. Vaguely, I'm aware of stomping feet as the crowd rushes to the exits, but the sound is far away. Reflexes, sorry. You're right there, ma'am. I'm fine, detective. Thank you. For a moment, I lock eyes with Detective Kasem London. In that instant, I recognized the Nemesis flickering across his face, cold and sharp like frostbitten furs. Nameless. We don't need a word for it because we only ever see it once. At the very end. Okay, I've taken 60 seconds to yell into a couch pillow, so maybe one of you, what the hell happened out there? How did that man get into the courtroom, the building, and with a weapon, like whatever the hell that was? It was his own arm, man borrows. Bought it illegally at some literal shop. Fully prosthetic, but fairly low-tech. He uses a simple air intake system and projectiles made of enamel. Enamel? As in teeth? Where on earth are these people? Doesn't trigger any metal detector. Looks organic from the outside. But if you're aiming at flesh, it gets the job done. And our metal detectors that stand between a crazed gunman and the law of the land? No, Your Honor, we're looking into it now. But we already found some discrepancies in the personal files of the courthouse security team members. He probably got his hands on a keycard, lost, bought, and stolen, and had it modified to get him into the building. Would that work? Only needs to work once. This time it did. I doubt he expected to leave alive, so... Just me, we're lucky he's stuck with something more directed instead of an explosive. This is a nightmare. What am I supposed to do now? The jury must be horrified. I don't know how we could proceed. As I recall, the adjutant cut their feet the moment the officer Rogers mentioned the Hound of Icaria. That they didn't actually see the shooting. And by the way, how does a patrol officer know that my client is the lead suspect in that case? Wouldn't anyone like to explain that to me? Well, you'd have to ask Organized Crimes. But the mood around Rogers has been celebratory. I imagine there were plenty of cops eager to describe in detail what he'd achieved by catching Sosuke red-handed. Allegedly. There's no presumption of innocence in station locker rooms and cop bars, says Counselor. So the RC departments buy Rogers a round of drinks. And 24 hours later I got a shooter in my courtroom. Who was he? The shooter's been outed as Bowen Brinson, low-level muscle in the Blue Blood Mafia. Priors for possession, dealing assault. Attempting to carry out an assassination in a courtroom full of cops is quite a step up. Any connections to Creed Spod? Older generation, different part of town. Not exactly thick as thieves. But trying to execute Sosuke wasn't an act of revenge. He was given orders. Yes, that is very interesting, but it's a job for the police to handle. Councilor Morgan, I assume you'll be filing for a mistrial. About that, I feel like it's in my client's best interest for the trial to continue. What? A blue blood gunman just tried to shoot him. The jury didn't see that. All they know right now is that they've been given a long lunch. You too. The goal, Your Honor, as always understood it, is for a defense attorney to do what's best for their client. Right now, clearly, the Blue Blood Mafia has convinced my client killed 4 of their men. And every cop in the city thinks he killed Officer Chopin. If he works on a mistrial, he won't be able to walk down the street without getting shanked. Sosuke Kariya doesn't need a mistrial. He needs an immediate blackout. I really heard that term. She's right, Your Honor. If the story spreads that the Blue Blood tried to assassinate Sosuke, every juror in the city will assume he's guilty. We won't be able to find anyone over the age of 10 who hasn't heard of him, let alone put together 12 unbiased peers to judge him. Even if that's true, and even if it's possible, what you're asking for is... Detective, is the building still in lockdown? Standard procedure says to keep it that way another half hour. We would have to. The stands were full of police officers, and every one of them could. Ambulance chasers will pay prime for a story this rich. Someone's gonna break rank. We don't need the blackout to last forever. We just need it to be intimidating enough that the story doesn't leak until the trial's over. Which will be when, exactly? We could finish tomorrow. There aren't that many witnesses left on the docket. Finished? Tomorrow? Yes, Your Honor. Fine, yes, we'll have a blackout. A big, scary old blackout like we're the shadowy masters of the universe. Happy? Perfectly. Thank you, Your Honor. Detective, follow me. You need my authorization to activate the building's blanket protocols. Right behind you, ma'am. Surprised to be arguing for the same thing as you for rounds. Thanks for not gagging from the effort. Any other defense attorney in the city would have taken the mistrial. Dumped the Hound of the House of Ikari on some other idiot's doorstep and cashed their kid check. Some other idiot, huh? Or is it that you can't dump him? You're under house arrest already? I haven't felt threatened by them. That could change fast if you failed them. House Ikari are a high society, haven't you heard? And I'm beneath that notice. I don't think they'd bother to ask me just for underperforming. Sounds exactly like the kind of thing that high society types would do. Going this far for your client, though. You know me. Defender of the weak, champion of the downtrodden. I go through a lot more than this to keep my face out of the papers. Hopefully when the story does eventually leak, the focus should be entirely on Sosuke. If this means people start recognizing me, remembering me, Owen Bresson would be glad London did him win one. I twist the knife slow as a second hand if he's... You okay? Compared to you, I guess not. I've never seen anyone get shot before. Oh. Right. Sorry. Now, I'm sorry. That was... Maybe I'm feeling jealous. I spent all this time poring over crime scenes and diagrams, trying to get inside the head of Heartbreak of all people, and maybe I get it into my head that I'm some kind of unfeeling badass. Just to freeze up like a deer at the sight of actual violence. I'll need to get over that. Do you? Do you need to? Get over it? I have a responsibility. Prosecutor isn't the hangman, Emma. No. If a hangman does the job right, the neck snaps and the subject's dead before the pain ever reached their brain. If I do my job right, Sosuke Ikari spends the rest of his life drilling on himself while Megs haggle over the property rights to his grey matter. If you feel that bad about it, you could always recommend a lesser sentence. That's just the thing. I've never felt that bad about it at all. Runs in the family. The way she whispered it, and a half-stuttering sigh. I'm not sure she even heard it herself. Well, that was fun times. Alright, that should free up your phone from the blanket. Thank you, Detective London. You're welcome, Counselor Morgan? Something I said? You didn't say anything yesterday about what the Hound of Ikari really is. Come on, there's a lot of codenames to remember. Would you believe me if I said I didn't put 2 and 2 together? Maybe I would, if I hadn't seen you act that fast back in the courtroom. That was a lucky shot. From across the room, with a crowd moving around him. Yeah, real lucky. I know, I'm agreeing with you. It would be a lot less lucky if you were, say, already watching him. Did you know? No, but I'm flattered you think I'm brave enough to stick around for a shooting that I knew would happen. But you recognized him. Tickled a spot in the back of my brain, even in disguise. Not that the guy was fidgeting around all day. Bresson had been in the courtroom all day? How long had he waited to take his shot? Did you get a good look at him? I did not. He shot him very fast. Eyes bloodshot to hell and back, nosebleed, flushed extremities. He was high as a drone. Probably metahexaphenylin, considering how well the Blue Bloods have done pushing it. Nirvana? The party drug that college kids are huffing. It's been a long time since I was in college. I guess it could be good for a party in small doses. I'm hypothesizing here. Don't take this out of context. Oh, I'm definitely gonna. Sure. But higher doses. A couple of months ago, I saw this guy stumbling around one of the open markets. Eyes dilated and moving a block a minute. He knocked over some bicycles, so I cuffed him to the rack, hoping he'd sober up within the hours and I could move on. I took a phone call, and when I looked back, he was trying to chew for the chain. He broke 4 teeth. And he had started biting his arm by the time I knocked him out. You. But anecdotes are cheap, and one bad trip will hardly slow the ball now that it's rolling. You believe the hype? Think that they're gonna legalize it? Within the next 2 quarters, if you ask me. What'll happen to the Blue Bloods monopoly? Up in smoke. Palmer makes the dispensaries of the world step in to reap the rewards. The Blue Bloods will have to slink off and cook up some other haze to push. Gray tide rolls on. The Blue Blood have legitimate income sources, right? Like Sinus. Yep, some of them are even pretty profitable, like their host clubs and pink rooms. If the Blue Bloods can run those businesses just fine, why can't they stay in control of Nevada once it's legalized? There's competition in name recognition and locale and real estate, and basically, they can't afford it. The buy-in's too steep, and everyone past the door likes it that way. Legal drugs are a whole other realm of profitable. Folks like the Icaria do not want to share. Not even on special occasions? Well, like I told you, there was that meeting last year, but that playdate fell apart. Hey, what'd you say back in there in court about Prop 492? You really buy that? Tariq Chopin walking with the Blue Bloods? It's quite the unlikely pairing, I admit. But I might explain why it ended the way it did. So was the verdict. Verdict is only handed down after the jury is finished deliberating. That may take... The show must go on. And the shooter? Getting introduced to the accommodations down in the morgue right about now. He was some Blue Blood muscle named Bresson. Ring a bell? As I've said, all these Blue Bloods are... He tried to shoot you, Sosuke. And I was standing very close to you when it happened. Crooked cop? There's a possibility, yes. This is possibly a crooked cop, actually. Dude was the situation, because I know you were not here, is that Chopin heard a gunshot ring in the city while they were doing patrolling, despite the fact that the building was fully soundproofed. How the heck do you get to that to know that building was there? Like, to know you guess the good building, or even hear a gunshot, if the gunshot was not audible? So right now, the possible supposition is that Tariq Chopin was somehow tipped off that something was happening in the building. Because until Tariq Chopin's death, the windows were closed. After Tariq Chopin's death, like at some point in between Morgan's like murder of the four Blue Bloods and Tariq Chopin's death, the windows were opened, and we don't know why, we don't know how, or anything like that. But yeah, I like a little more detail than that. I've never met him, never heard of him. That's the truth. But the Bresson family is known to be enforcers for Blue Blood leadership. So it's the old god who wants you dead. Does that make the young bloods an enemy of an enemy? Didn't you tell me Creek was a young blood? Considering what I'm on trial for, I doubt they'd fun of me either. God damn it, Sosuke, who doesn't hate your ass? You need to try harder to disregard the nonsense that comes out of that adjutant's mouth. It might be starting to sink in. Sosuke, you were captured when you could have been ignored. You were tortured when you could have been ransomed. And now these people are trying to kill you in one of the most secure buildings in the city. What are they after? Why are you at the top of the Blue Blood shit list? Is it because... Either it's the meeting or it's Renogen. Probably both. Does it have something to do with Renogen? Makoto seemed hesitant to discuss anything to do with them. Because that is the house way. Oria Holdings takes care of Renogen and the like. Makoto appeared to know anything about their inner workings. That would be a breach of house lines. So Renogen's just a red herring. Is it because of what happened a year ago? What do you know about what happened a year ago? A meeting between the old god and the house, apparently. You were gonna work out a deal for the Icarian network to distribute a Blue Blood product. Why would we want the basement cooked swill the Blue Bloods make sold in our storefront? Or pharmacies? You wouldn't. Not until after Nirvana is legalized. Yes, I figured some stuff out. Stop pouting. There was a meeting last year, yes. A private meeting that was to be kept strictly confidential. The IFG met with the old god to discuss the deal. It fell apart. Voices were raised, weapons drawn. I was in the shadows and I stamped in front of a blade for Makoto. The house elders were perturbed afterwards. They feared for Makoto's safety and perhaps thought that they had grown overconfident. The hound is a useful tool, but not indispensable. So they ordered me to guard Makoto full-time. Isn't that a great honor, guiding the heir to the headship? Of course it is. Then why do you sound like that? You get points for picking up on it, but you need to learn how to take advantage of it. So the deal fell apart. Blood was drawn. I kinda assumed that was par for the course in your world. It's not unheard of. So why are the old gods still trying to kill you and Makoto a year later? I don't know! I don't know, Morgan. Because I'm not an old god. Is there someone we can talk to who is? There's always someone. For a price. That's how it's gonna go. I'm gonna need a drink first. I know someone who is an old god. Here to join. What you're talking about. Sorry to disappoint, but I was here first. The Ned slowest shit in his wing of the school. No one else comes here if they don't have to, so it's a quiet spot to read. Yeah, it is a detective mystery. So what, like 5% of the books in the library are? Well, it's not like I own the room. If you want to convene your club meetings here with all your many members, they can't exactly sue you. Especially not since you're gonna be some big shot lawyer. Join the club so I don't get evicted? Isn't that like blackmail a counselor? Mutually beneficial, sure, so it's just plain old corruption. What you just find out there in the adult world? Whatever, as long as you don't go around telling people I'm a member, you can put me down. We need to add up phone numbers too. No, I don't actually care. Is something wrong? Why would you think that's something wrong? It's very unusual for you to wake up mid-transit. When you decide to nap, you fall asleep very fast and you sleep very deeply. Suspiciously so. Sometimes I try to wake you and I could swear you're just pretending. I have no idea what you're talking about. Besides, you're the one who's been quiet. I had been bothering Sosuke, I think, pestering him about catching bullets. If you were bothering Sosuke, he'd say it. Then to the side in that bitchy pose of his. But I can't catch a bullet either. Even though I'm fast, and I can see fast. Sosuke was the one who acted while I just... Sosuke's trained for that kind of thing, for the exact kind of thing. Trained for his whole life, the way he tells it. Well, that built me to be strong. I should be able to... David didn't build you to be anything, Sarah. He didn't even really build you. Just watched you grow. And do you think I'm still growing? Still developing? You think I could get taller? She wants to be a tall golly! Let's go! Oh, she wants to... Girl, I'm so sorry, but we would need to change your body frame. I think you shouldn't get your hopes up about that. Sarah, baby. Yeah, she's gonna remember. Come on, you can bounce back faster than that. Yeah, she's so baby. I'm sorry. I suppose I am still processing what we saw back in the courtroom. When Detective London took out that shooter. I know that Detective London has been a police officer for many years. It stands to reason that he'd act decisively in circumstances where so many lives are at risk. What am I still thinking about is the man he killed. Yeah, but there's only so much speculating we can do about his motive until... I'm not thinking about his motive. I'm thinking about how he's dead. You haven't been out and about that long. Everything's new to you, even the most ordinary stuff. Guess I forget that excludes the extraordinary too. You've seen violence like that before then? Yes, I have. Seen people die? Yes, I have. Seen more people die than most your age? Most liars? Probably a safe bet. This is a private subject, isn't it? Death is always private. I'm no exception. Do people ever get used to it? I can only speak for myself. Have you gotten used to it? Every time is like the first time. I hope that everyone's like you then. Doesn't seem like the kind of thing anyone should get used to. Sorry to disappoint you then. There are no people like me. Irashai. Irashai. Do I owe the pleasure of hosting my two favorite girls? One's Sarah. Who's the other? Picking of my imagination, apparently. Do you want something to drink? What do you recommend? I've just got this case of beautiful tawny deep reds from volcanic soil across the sea. Savory and full with notes of cherry and oak. Sounds delicious. You just described the tree, down to the dirt. Well, I would very much like to try it. Sorry, you're underage. She's an android. A very realistic one. Well, you say to customers who walk in and see her drinking at a counter. Irashai? 2 waters coming right up. Wait, back up. Your client is the Hound of Icaria? And I was the last person to find out what that actually means. Then it should be easy to tell enough to tell whether he did the deed or not. The Hound always leaves a calling card. So I hear. Is that literal? Dark white business card and laid neatly on the ground with the house's insignia. I don't understand why the house would go to such lengths to let the victims know who attacked them. These new ability types, their whole lives are galas and boardrooms and cocktail parties and wine tastings. Torture. But every sentence has a front and back side to it, and every glance is a whole unspoken clause. The damn and ambiguous act of violence is an exclamation point that they can't misconstrue. And Icaria is exactly at the top of the new ability picking order. Finding that the others that they've still got the fangs is a viable strategy. They know they are outclassed in terms of how many mountains of gold they have. That doesn't explain why such a supposedly great assassin has gotten made on more than one occasion. Well, he's probably just doing his job there. If all he needed was to get away with murder, he'd be a poisoner or a sniper. All the major houses love to use body doubles. If he kills a target behind closed doors, their house can just bring out a spare. Well hell, claim the entire thing never happened. The Hound kills where house rivals can see. Then the damage sticks. You know a lot about the new ability, don't you, boss? Are you considered part of the new aristocracy? Do I look like that kind of sway? I don't run a bar in Midtown as a hobby kid. Wouldn't know it looking at how profitable your wine section is. I'll catch on. The Hound was a nasty surprise, but the big reveal isn't making anything click for me. A blue blood assassin trying to mist him mid-trial. I don't get it either. The Blue Bloods aren't as rational as they used to be. Used to be? I traded with them a good deal when I was younger, and they were richer. Traded what? Stock tips. Oh. This was before the Icaria cut them down. I was a young man hungry to establish myself, and the Blue Bloods were the biggest game in town. There wasn't even twinkle in some psychopunk's eye back then, and the Icaria cartel were just that, drug smugglers and dope runners. The Blue Bloods used them as couriers. Reversal of fortune. Could be their names on opera houses and hospitals across the city if what? If the Icaria hadn't killed them all. But didn't they have allies? Connections? The morgues were overflowing with cerulean blood. No one wanted anything to do with them. But they were the victims. Corporate partners are risk-averse. Political alliances require you to bring something to the table. And when you fall that far, that fast, the common folk assume it happened for a reason. They thought that the Blue Blood deserved it just because it happened to them? All that was left was the old-timers, the grandparents and the great-uncles, all suddenly without heirs. They recruited latchkeys and orphans during the Red Decade, found family that became the first gens, and then the young bloods. What about money? You're starting to sound like a real human. Some of it, the cash, the gold, the jewels, the Icaria just stole. But the vast majority of it was held overseas where it was safe, untouchable, and impossible to get your hands on without the right blood. Left behind GFA. Getting butchered by the Icaria was a bad beating, but losing that money was unforgivable. The rest of the Blue Blood Mafia around the world will never accept them back into the fold until they recover it. Exiled from paradise because they tempted fate with their hubris. There's a certain poetic charm to it, no? It would have been a very sobering poem. Those are the ones you remember, aren't they? For a while the Blue Bloods are still humming the same old hymns, piercing down the same ghost stories and urban legends. The teens seem to be a surprisingly superstitious bunch, crossing their fingers over the Red Hood and... Hey, what's a little lord? That's another one. You spin on one of the oldest tales in the book, A Promised Prince. The belief is that exactly one kid survived the fall of the leaves, one lone heir to all the fortune in the Blue Bloods lost. Got spirited away overseas or out west to be raised in secret, and one day he'll come back to reclaim what's rightfully... You know, I'm guessing you heard this one before. Is there any truth to it? Old gods suddenly seem to think so. Need to think so. Probably what's keeping them alive. If they can just hold on to another 5 years, they'll finally find the heir they've been looking for, and they can rectify decades of embarrassment and shame. Thinking like that is what made Youngblood stop talking about maybe the old god doesn't care what happened to us. What do they expect? Blood's thicker than water. The original full expression is thought to be the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. It actually suggests that camaraderie between those who fought together is stronger than simply sharing a common relative. Yeah, well, if that were actually true, then maybe people wouldn't have amputated the expression centuries ago. Still, this is 30 years of water, or blood covenant, if you prefer, that we're talking about. Young bloods give their life to the Mafia. Each of them had to choose it over their own family. It's a pretty raw deal to cut them loose just cause some sheltered kid, only valuable for his DNA, decided to show up after all these years. You think the old god would throw away the young bloods if it meant reuniting with the little lord? I know it, and so do the young bloods. That doesn't seem to be a dynamic that incentivizes them to look very hard for this little lord. No, it incentivizes them to smother the royal bastard. If I assume my client is innocent, that means someone else killed Tariq Chopin. Someone who didn't do it in self-defense. Tariq Chopin? You mean the son of the city councilman? Adopted son. His parents are all government officials. Even if loaded, the Mob Act can't protect all their records. The Mob Act is something that we mentioned in episode 1, but I can go back for it. The Protection of Reasonable Anonymity Act is a law passed in 2059 and amended in 2061, intended to protect the safety of individuals with income above the 99th percentile of the nation. Labeled in the press as the Mob Act for its supposed goal of hindering mob justice, the PRAA establishes procedures and funding for technology that helps individuals within that particular tax bracket keep the name, face, and address off the mainnet, ensuring that they and their families are not prejudiced against just because of their financial status. Economic uncertainty and civil unrest in the late 2050s led to a series of highly publicized crimes wherein corporate executives at a number of high-profile companies were stalked, harassed, and assaulted in net organized flash lynchings. After a particularly chaotic attack that resulted in the hospitalization of a 14-year-old, the PRAA was proposed, debated, and signed into law in just under 11 hours. A flash lynching case has not gone to trial since 2062, but the PRAA continues to protect citizens to this day. Some economists have pointed to the PRAA and its promise of anonymity as to why the nation has enjoyed a relative resurgence of corporate immigration over the last few decades. The purposefully obscure nature of the law's implementation have made the task of weighing its true economic impact relatively effectively impossible. Sarah, look this guy up. What do you want to know? How old was he? His age is listed as 27, but the entry has been edited a number of times. There's been a great deal of back and forth between database contributors in the last 36 hours of the addition or removal of an asterisk. Wikipedia. It seems its original birth certificate was lost. Well, that's shady as hell. Only kinda. Here it comes. If he was an orphan 27 years ago, that's pretty firmly in the red decade. A lot of paperwork was getting lost back then. That's a kind of way of putting it. What would be an unkind way of putting it? The government of the worlds were scrambling. I want to know about his adoption. His fathers adopted him in 2066 after 3 months of visits to the Gospel Home Orphanages, a private philanthropic institution that is no longer in business. Bankrupt or bought out? Bankrupt. Damn it, if they had just gone swallowed, the parent company might have kept their records. The adoption itself was somewhat of an event. There are multiple news articles and photos of it. Not trying to cast doubt on the realness of their connections, but they wouldn't be career politicians if they let a photo of that good pass them by. Unless they wanted to draw attention away from who they were adopting, and... No, a child showing up quietly in a politician's life looks guilty as sin. They wouldn't let people think. This isn't useful. I can go in circles all day speculating about this. What was his education? Tariq Chopin had a law degree. Who gets a law degree and then becomes a patrol officer? The son of a politician. It's not a bad path. If your superiors know you're connected and smart and can recognize when the law is being broken, that'll keep you far away from anything real. You can coast for a year and move into politics as a veteran of the force who was hard on crime. London did mention he was far too principled to be likable or reliable. Joining up with the police was nothing but a calculated move. That means he had a clear plan for what to do after. It probably didn't involve defrauding the city in a real estate scheme. I can think of a few reasons why a cop would get murdered at the scene of a crime like that. But Tarek Chopin wasn't some ordinary cop. The strongest motive that comes to mind is... Wait, you really think? You think Chopin was the little lord? You're the last person I expect to believe in fairy tales, Red. Can you honestly say it doesn't fit? If we, for a moment, assumes that unicorns and dragons and Tsuchinokos are real... What do you mean? Tsuchinoko... No! 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 Danger, Tsuchinoko? Sorry, made me laugh. What do you mean? Tsuchinokos are very well documented. I can show you. Then yeah, it's possible that Chopin was the little lord. And if any young blood knew it, they'd want him dead. To prevent the old god from abandoning them. 3 thoughts come to mind. 1. This is all guesswork on your part. Even the most zealous young blood wouldn't offer a guy just because he happened to be about 30 years old and adopted. He would have had to have seen something that at least suggested it. 2. As I recall, the only Youngblood you know of is this Creek guy. And Creek was dead before Chopin even ever entered the building. He used his name pretty handily. The only Youngblood I know. 3. I can think of at least one other group that killed to prevent the little lord from reclaiming his throne. House Icaria. And would better to cut him down than the most loyal Rook. And I would neatly explain why the old god would be pissed enough to try and kill Sosuke in a courtroom. Unfortunately. Slight positive, just because the old god thinks Sosuke killed that precious hair doesn't mean he actually did. Yeah. Hey Sarah, get some footage of me making this next one from over there in the corner. Boss? We'll shoot a promo. I just found this hidden gem where this guy made the best drink ever, that kind of thing. It's kind of cheap and fake, but like, you're in on the joke and it's not pretending to be genuine? Plus, with the number of followers Kintsugi has, a video longer than 9 seconds posted at this time of day... I don't want to hear that depressing shit. We'll crossbuster whatever. Will it have to be that corner? The lighting will be bad. Any corner, just make it sure it's from a distance. From a distance? Wouldn't it be better framed if... It looked like shaky cam, found footage. It's more legit that way. My hands do not shake, but I'll try. What are you doing? Making you a drink, obviously. That's quite a treat. Why? Because we got some heavy shit to discuss. Sauce with ice. What do we do with crushed ice at Kintsugi, Sarah? Kick it under the fridge. Exactly. Rock ice or nothing when you're mixing a cocktail. Hang on. You taught her that? There's a drain under there. Not in my kitchen. When the ice melts, it warps the floor with half a lime juice. Pay no attention to the second half I'm using here, Sarah. Right like it taught. Now you're the lawyer, and you got a hell of a mind for this stuff. Egg white. Toss the yolk unless it's a weekend, in which case... Put it in the bowl in the fridge. But it seems to me like you're approaching this shooter from every angle, but a deadly serious one. Or Jeet. If a customer says they prefer simple syrup, let me know, we won't serve them anymore. You need to consider that maybe that shooter wasn't there for Sosuke. I told you, they kicked me out after only a few minutes. No one's sending an assassin after me for that. Whiskey, Black Label or higher. Then shake the hell out of it! Word of mouth can be deadly down here in the fog. I saw her leaving the building can easily become I saw her running away. If someone wanted to get me, and a courtroom filled with cops would be a pretty shitty place to choose to do it. Yeah, but it might have been the only time and place they knew you'd be. Mine for a garnish with charred cinnamon for smoky ambiance. Serve immediately. A bitter blessing. Surely with that much lime it's a sour blessing, no? You want me to toss it out? Thank you for the drink. But I'm nobody, Rain. No one's coming to get me. Nobody even knows I exist. I hope you're right. I am. You won't know you won't know if you're wrong until it's too late. Bottoms up. You got all that, Sarah? Yes, boss. Hey, bottoms up is just an expression. You're supposed to sip it for guts. One last thing. Apparently Sosuke's captors talked about some kind of huntsman. The little lord's an urban legend. Huntsman's a goddamn boogeyman. Orcas shooting the shit around bending tires, trying to make the noobs afraid to go off and piss by themselves. Right, so that bullshit. I got the same answer elsewhere, but... Oh, they're very real. Pardon? Huntsmen, not a species native to our shores. Thank God. But they're real. You just said a boogeyman. Yeah, and the fact that they exist is what makes them so scary. So damn scary. That is some sort of assassin, like Bresson, the shooter in the courtroom. Nothing so concrete. Huntsmen are virtual shapeshifters. You feel a chill down your spine one night on your way home from work, go to sleep. Wake up at night to a man wearing your own face choking the life out of you. While he calls your mom from your locked phone across the room in your own voice. But like I said, they're all overseas, in more contested parts of the world where the Blue Bloods are better funded. You wouldn't pay for one of them to come into the country unless you had a really good use case or a weapon only they could take full advantage of. Well, I'll be sure to pass that on to Sosuke. Why, so Sosuke can start writing his will? Yeah, we have them here. They're moderately harmless, or was it ridiculously deadly? Both, I guess? Also, I kind of understand why Noah Morgan would be very much targeted. Though I had that inkling before. I wouldn't bet against him, so long as he knows what he's up against. Urban legends are missed, but boogeymen are easy to kill. How'd you kill a boogeyman? Same way I'd kill anyone else. With pleasure. Alright. I actually need a recommendation from you. What, a kind of recommendation? A bar, I think, needs to be open tonight. Oh. What you're looking for? Well, it's not for me, but... What do you know about host clubs? Oh, we're sent immediately into this. Okay, I guess I'm continuing. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Just what I said. You can't enter the crime scene until you pass our security clearances. You gotta be... You're a drug-pushing lowlife. Why would I need your permission to go anywhere? I take offense to that. I never worked in pharma. Han? Not the time to be a smartass. Raise, it only take 30 seconds. You're serious? This is reality? The city's expecting Blue Bloods to keep a crime scene secure? They're the ones committing the goddamn crimes! Hey, if that's your criteria, half the police force should be disqualified. Why is it excessive force not a real crime? A battered spouse is not real victims. Because assault's only assault when it's a real person on the receiving end. Sign is legitimate, Reyes. All the paperwork's in order and signed by our bosses. These idiots are walking around barehanded and knocking shit over and leaving trash all over the goddamn place. Should we give them bandages while they're at it? Let them investigate crimes too. We already investigate crimes. You have any idea how many missing teens there are in the lower wards? No, because we find them, because we actually give a shit about the people we live down here. Oh, and I'm sure your prices are very generous. Better than parents to figure the bill from us than a letter of condolences from you. So sorry, man, but he looked suspicious as he was running away. Huh. Han, not helping. Reyes, let's calm down. Sorry that I'm not calm when we got actual orcas stomping all over the scene where a cop was murdered. Last I counted, there were 5 bodies upstairs. Are both of yours broken, or did you just not recognize anyone without a badge as human? Perhaps we come at a bad time. Nothing for it. Gotta strike while the iron's hot. The iron seems very hot in this instance, Adonai. Sorry to interrupt, folks. Don't mind me, I'll just go take another look upstairs. No, you? Here, why not? You nearly died once already today. Why not let these orcas give you the tour? Was that you giving me permission? No, you and Lennon should be a goddamn hospital or whatever, getting debriefed. She doesn't need your permission. She has mine. But man, you can go right ahead upstairs. Talk to me again and I'll break your finger. Is that ad recording right now? That sounded like a threat. You wanna hear, Fred? I'll clearly... This isn't gonna work. So Han, why don't you head upstairs and wait for Morgan? I don't take orders from you. Would you take orders from? Want me to give them a call? Let them know you're going around kicking hornets' nests and scratching your head at why everyone's getting stung. Whatever. Think you could just walk away after the shit you said? Turn around and take a walk, sunshine. London, if you think for even one... I'm not kidding, Farah. Take a walk. Forget it. You can all go to hell for all I care. Oh, for... No, not you. For God's sake. Sorry about the bad timing. No, that was gonna blow up no matter what. Situations like this require compromise, and Reyes is uncompromising. At least you're around to balance her out. You might be the most compromised cop I've ever met. That was not a very nice thing to say. And it shows that you haven't met that many cops. I'm surprised you're still welcome around here after what happened in the courtroom. Oh, Bresson. The Blue Bloods are a big organization, and Bresson was firmly on the other side. Guys like Han who work in the gray areas might as well live in a different world. If you say so. I just didn't think the Mafia would allow the death of one of their own to go unanswered. They sent him in a courtroom packed with police with a modded arm that only had one shot. I don't think they're surprised he didn't make it back. Will Detective Reyes be alright? She seemed angry. More so than usual. Yeah, she'll be alright. Blowing up, yelling, cursing, that's nothing. Practically healthy. It's the ones who go quiet you gotta worry about. What brings you back here, anyway? We're pursuing leads. Sounds serious. Anyone go digging into Chopin after my applications earlier today? Lady Rockford would probably take it seriously if only to cross us off the list, but other than her, I think you mostly just pissed people off. Lucky for you, I was able to convince some techs to confirm your sunproof Windows theory, but I expect to be welcome at City Hall anytime soon. Hadn't counted on it. Whatever else he's innocent of, Chopin did get here before anyone else, and no one knows how. Look, if you really did get some kind of coded message or secret text, there's no trace of it in any comm logs on his personal devices. And it didn't come from any of the tech we've examined on site. Have you found any secret passages on the premises? Right now, little lady. Maybe you have better luck than me. Secret passages? In what world? Was that your whole story back in the courtroom? You and Reyes happened to be in the area? If you don't want to take my word for it, Rell's tell you the same thing. Doesn't seem like she'd want to talk to Adonai at the moment. Can you tell me exactly what you two saw when you arrived? The 10999 went out at 10:15 p.m., telling us that Chopin's heart had stopped. No, not Black Log. Fuck. It took 1 minute to actually go there. Okay. What was I thinking of? Oh, no, not the evidence. Testimonies. What are the testimonies? No, I want the testimonies because of, things autopsy. I want Roger's, like, testimony and stuff. Because there was a talk about, like, when they got cold. Was it London's testimony? I don't remember. So we dashed across the street to an elevator. We were descending at 10:17 when Rogers reported that he was dead. At 10:21, we approached from the front of the building, saw the door ajar, locked blown in. Then Sunshine and I started clearing the first floor. We didn't hurry up to the third floor, where the dead cop was. Like I testified, Chopin had flatlined, and his own partner had confirmed it was no false alarm. We knew we couldn't do anything for him. Rogers had already apprehended the suspect, so SOP is we focused on securing the area and clearing the premises. All level-headed. So the officer Rogers we saw in court today really did take Sosuke down all by himself. Yeah, charged in and pistol whipped him right on the head. I assume you found that the first floor was in fact clear. Yeah, all these vaults were empty. He didn't wait for Sinus to show up with the spare keys. Surprised he didn't throw you back out, kicking down doors. Sunshine helped. Besides, they weren't all locked. Ooh, interesting. They weren't? Yeah, I remember that. That one right there wasn't locked. Room 107. Ooh, okay. Okay, so this one was unlocked. Nothing inside there either, though. Guess the Blue Bloods missed a lock on the nightly roundup or something. Sinus unlocked every door in the building at this point. But when I first walked down this hole and when I walked out the front door later, what did this hole look then? If you do manage to find some kind of silent alarm, I'll be impressed. If you prove that Chopin was dirty, I'd be floored. Even then, how the hell are you gonna convince a jury that anyone other than Sosuke killed him? It'll be difficult without accounting for the 4 dead Blue Bloods as well. But if you take it all in as one set, it starts seeming plausible as an internal issue, don't you think? Or do you want to pitch this as the young Bloods and Old God going at it? For what? Did you see bait that Chopin literally died over? For position 492. What's there to disagree about? That project would put money in everyone's pockets. In a Fury's pocket, and Chopin was killed because the young Bloods didn't want the Old God abandoning them. The Old God have always hedged their bets on the little Lord pretending. Does that mean the Red Ink plans to profit off of Prop 492 with a Youngblood conspiracy? His papers were tucked inside Creek's safe before I arrived. Well, good hunting. You want to be joining us? Not this time. I gotta pump the brakes on Sunshine before she finds a bar. Try not to piss off the Blue Bloods with any more wild accusations while I'm gone. I would never. Take care. And that goes doubly for you, Sparky. What does Sparky mean, by the way? It's a nickname. Cause she's so bright. And she's so happy! She got a nickname! But I guess people are always calling you ads or whatever they like, huh? Sorry, should have asked first. What do you mean? I'll just call you Sarah. But it's my nickname. You gave it to me. You can't just take it back. Well, okay then, Sparky. What the hell? Did you hate Spearmint that much? That is... I would never want to seem ungrateful. Seems like the smell's fading and starting to fade. Barely even the memory of blood, now that so many feet have trodden through here. Nothing lasts forever. Miss Han? What? No, I already called you this morning. No, they're not. No, they're not. You're being paranoid. Yes, I'm sure. Yes, I'll call you tonight. Bye. Didn't mean to interrupt another lover's quarrel. What? Oh, no, that was... Dimension meds aren't working. They get confused at this time of day. Sorry. Forget it. That's what I'm gonna do. Just gonna turn my phone off for a minute and forget. Good enjoy it, by the way. So what's up? There's a couple of ways of going about this, but none of them are surefire. Might as well start out big and see if there's anything to this fairy. Let's use silent alarms. Yeah, of course. Thank you for telling us. Sure. I'm actually going to need a bit more than that, Miss Han. A nickname sparkles. Yeah! She's so happy! It's just Han. Did Creek have a silent alarm? She's hesitating all of a sudden. Is she unsure of the answer, or did she just give her first answer without thinking about where it would lead? Nothing like that installed in the building. Ox would shoot it up and spat it out by now. The Arx is not flawless. It can miss things. Look, you seen the level of tech we Blue Bloods have? It's secure, but it ain't subtle. True. An Orca-run security firm won't have quite as much luck hiding their subsystems from the police as David Assure did, sir. But the Arx can miss things that aren't tech at all. A silent alarm that's analog? Let me know if you figured that one out. Either an alarm is analog and loud or digital and silent. It don't mix. She's defensive, but her logic is sound. Because it's loud. I get the joke. Just forget me. I'm gonna continue saying the lines. Approaching it from the other angle then. How could an analog silent alarm possibly function? Telegraph. A telegraph alarm, if you just send an SOS, it's very fast. And only the line knows. Literal alarm, but one that can't be heard under normal circumstances. What a horrible smell in here. Like a dog was That is not true. You once bragged to me about your sense of smell. I don't think I was bragging. With the sun you puffed your chest out at the time, doesn't matter. If I asked you to sniff something out, could you find it? What would you like me to look for? I still don't have a clear picture of what happened after I left, but there's one thing I know should be here that hasn't turned up once yet. Right, I'm the only one who knows about the knife. And while I don't know where it went, I do know it had plenty of blood on it when I last saw it. I want you to smell for blood. I don't know, you really need me to help with found blood in here? I'm not asking you to sniff in here. I want you to smell out the window. I'll try. There are many strong smells in this part of the city, Adonai. There's something truly unpleasant as well. Something beneath this fire escape. Okay. Now go fetch. You could ask nicely. Wait, Sarah? Yes? That's a very old rusted fire escape. Take the stairs. You're too heavy. As you command, Adonai. I must stop. Several minutes later, Sarah returned looking worse for wear and seemingly in a bad mood. Did the weight comment bother her that much? I do not like digging for trash. It is not a dignified way to investigate. Digging in people's trash is the basis of all good investigation. Easy for you to say when you're all wearing all white. Did you find something? Yes. My knife. And it's charred? I found it amongst the ash of a blackened steel drum below the fire escape. It seems to have been the site of a fire. That sounds familiar. Wasn't there a barrel burning in the alley when I first scoped the place out? There were signs of a chemical flame retardant being applied to the barrel. The police must have put the fire out when they secured the scene. Meaning the knife was in the fire all night, but still. There does indeed appear to be blood on this knife, Adonai. So how did both the police and scientists miss it? Their noses aren't as good as yours, evidently. That is true. Did they have drones and dogs for this kind of thing? Yeah, but they have to actually use them. They have no reason to search the vicinity for a bloody knife if they found a sword sticking out of a corpse midsection. Shall we ask the police to check for fingerprints? Fingerprints are mostly oil and sweat. Fire evaporates them both. Then you have to test and see whose blood is on that knife. But DNA is damaged by heat as well. You know, before DNA analysis, blood had another forensic use. You mean blood typing? The DNA on the knife might be too damaged, but modern analytical tools should be able to at least identify blood typing. That could work, Adonai. Great! Ready to get started? Pardon? You were capable of recognizing my DNA, weren't you? When you first met? Yes, but... So why don't you try your hand at analyzing blood type? It's gotta be simpler, right? It might be, but Adonai, to analyze the blood on this knife, I would need to use my... Pretend it's a lollipop or something. It's blood. Well done, blood. It tastes like beef. You don't know what human blood tastes like. Of course I don't. Look, the fire sanitized it, probably. Just get it over with. I will reference this incident the next time we discuss raises, Adonai. Fine by me. Because that's never happening. Oh no! Oh no! I'm gonna take a break. The ads was supposed to be running a little bit, so I'm gonna quickly take a break. We'll be right back after this. Alright, everyone, after this very silly WarioWare minigame, go back. Let's go for it. There is blood from more than one person present. Mostly B-. I believe with some AB- around the tip. Alright, now I can cross-reference that with the rest of the data I have. Thank you for the report, Sarah. You've given me a new lead to follow. Yes, Adonai. And you've just made your first forensic contribution to an ongoing criminal investigation. Yay! How many androids can say that? Now, come on, we got some boxes to tick. Ooh. Alright. So this is where they found Creek's body. He was the only one who didn't die instantly, if anyone had the chance to use a silent alarm. No, he must have been paralyzed in between the time he was shot and his actual expiration. They weren't paralyzed. What do you mean? If they had been paralyzed, Yumi would have noted that in her autopsy. That's true. They just sat there limp the whole time. Didn't even try to move. He was playing dead? Letting me think he couldn't move so I wouldn't notice his... Was anything found in his hands? Anything at all? Doesn't seem like it. They weren't holding something by the time the body got to the morgue. If he had been holding something, but dropped it when he died. Help me look. For what? Anything small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. Hang on. What's this? What was that? Did you just jump? I was merely surprised by that sound, Adonai. What sound? I just brunched against this little toy thing. You can hear it? I can, and it's not exactly pleasant on the ears. Could any android hear it, or is this some special feature David gave you? I imagine any android or robot or electronic device with modern features could pick up this tone. Maybe I should close the window before I test it anymore. It's so torturing all the dogs in the neighborhood. Closing the window would not matter. It's soundproofed though. The specific frequency of this tone is not in your audible spectrum to begin with. Right. She's so puppy girl, yeah! She's just a little puppy who can hear ultrasounds. But do you really think Creek was toying with that nuisance maker in their final moments? Writing protocol designed to make data difficult to physically redistribute. Couldn't anyone just have take out their phone and snap a picture of the pages? It seems that some of the responding officers attempted to. The arcs show that they failed. That's some fancy ink. What do you see when you look at the pages then? No more detail than you do, I'm afraid. It's strange, isn't it? They went to such lengths to protect this information. And yet these papers were left out where Officer Chopin, anyone could read them. They weren't left there by Creek. I took the documents out of his safe so I could reach the math. I must have left them out on the desk afterwards. Our client, Sosuke, according to Rogers, this is how he found them. Thrusting the sword into Chopin. Or merely trying to retrieve it. Not a huge improvement there. He really was found in a terrible state, wasn't he? And that was before the police gave him his cop killer welcoming, and... Sarah, bring up the medical files on Sosuke. I want to go over everything we know about how he looked when Rogers arrested him. What specifically? He was covered in blood, right? Was samples taken for analysis? The blood on his torso and head was all his own. He got some Chopin's blood on him while he was face down, being cuffed by Officer Rogers. He also had a great deal of trace blood in his feet and pant legs. How exactly was he injured? His left hand was broken. He had internal bleeding throughout his torso. freezing and rope burns on his wrist where he was bound, contusions all over the interior side of his body, and he also sustained a large blunt force trauma wound on the back of the head. His biggest wound was to the back of his head? I guess if he fell backwards to the ground. There is also a small cut on his left hand. How small? As if he cut himself in the kitchen. Wasn't expecting a metaphor there, but it's effective enough. Any other questions about our client's arrest of the night? Not unless there's some crime scene photos you've been holding out onto me. I'm afraid not. How is it that I'm the only one who made an effort to preserve the crime scene? Oh. Ankur Tan. Supposedly he was the first to die. Logically, he had to have been. He's the one who had the gun. If an attacker got it away from him, they must have done so first. Yes, I can see that the gun is registered to him. Right, registered. Who the hell would look at this guy with that gun and just nod him along? Patrol officers TC and HR 1 week ago. TC and HR? Tarek Chopin, Yu-Gi-Oh! Rogers? The badge numbers match. It seems they detained Ankur Tan briefly during a stop and frisk and found this gun on him. Finding a gun like this on anyone with priors during a stop and frisk. At the very minimum, this grounds for 28 days detainment. What did just let him go? Is it possible that he was a criminal informant? If he was a CI, they wouldn't have even logged the incident. Besides, patrol officers don't even have their own CIs. Perhaps they let him go for some other reason. Because they already gotten what they wanted from him? Make sure to copy the file of that stop and frisk report. Right away. Ooh. Add it to the Mag US. Personal discretion without prejudice. Well, Chopin, you have just some explaining to do, unless HR can tell us. What am I missing? Ah. This evidence? It's a piece of crap. Some crime scene tech left behind. Nothing irrelevant. Nothing relevant about it. Yes, you're right. It's just displaying a news article they must be reading. Apparently they arrested the Heartbreak Killer. It's copycat. Yes, the Heartbreaker's copycat. Heartbreak Killer's copycat. And it seems... Just let me skim for myself. Suspected Heartbreak copycat foiled, arrested. The individual suspected of planning an act of terror has been arrested thanks to quick response from local police and well-coordinated efforts from state investigators. The suspect, whose identifying information has not been released to the public, was apprehended by officers seemingly in the midst of preparing their attack, having already loaded a firearm and several magazines of ammunition into the vehicle. Police have not commented on whether the firearm in question was properly tagged, but insiders with close ties to the investigation claim that the weapon itself was not what led to the arrest. Whether an identified troubling pattern of negativity in the days leading up to the arrest. Concerning such as an attempt to access old net portals, the suspect had already been on our radar by that point, so when they posted that manifesto we were able to quickly secure a warrant for their arrest. The alleged manifesto in question consists of what was, at the time, a publicly accessible online document praising Heartbreak's hardline stance against neoliberal corporate soft power and listing a number of complaints and criticisms against the recent business decisions made by Hanami Robotics, most notably an announcement made on the last earnings call that it would begin moving manufacturing jobs offshore. While the decision landed Hanami in some controversy at the time, their stock price steadily increased in the days after, reflecting optimism amongst shareholders that Hanami's lucrative product lines of mostly heavy construction robots would no longer be so strictly tied to national politics. When the arrest was first made, no clear connection between the individual and Hanami was apparent, but Hanami CFO has since been seen speaking at an investor conference at a hotel within 50 kilometers of the suspect's residence, suggesting a possible target. The target here is that terrorist acts like this one are easily caught, easily prevented, and there's no standing risk to the public, said lead investigator Kennings in his official statement to the press. To any dissidents out there thinking that the next heartbreak just because you bought a gun, you will be caught, you will be prosecuted, and your hero won't be far behind. Update: Hanami Robotics has yet to respond to requests for comment, but their official social media accounts have released simultaneous statements denouncing in the strongest terms rising violence and thanking investigators for the swift and decisive action. You have also learned that a select portion of shareholders have received messages clarifying Hanami's global market strategy and reaffirming their commitment to their workers as well as to their customers and shareholders. Whether this is an indication of a reversal of their decision to relocate manufacturing jobs overseas, yeah. Remember, that's not insider trading, that's forerunner trading. Definitely not. This is nothing, a fluff piece. Can't believe anyone would read or write these rags. I suppose that could have been a coincidence. That's exactly what it is. That about wraps it up in here. Miss Han, since Sinus is technically in charge of securing the crime scene, what should we do with this? Do with what? Adonai, please refrain from pressing that button any more than necessary. Sorry, Sarah. I can see you don't like it. But Miss Han's phone doesn't seem to like it either. It's just Han. And I don't know what you're talking about. I get messages all the time. Oh, please don't bully the baby! Han, ma'am, if you could please just admit to so she stops pressing that. Fine! Whatever, yes, you found one of her alarms. Pretty clever system. Not really, it's just an app. You set a frequency and you get a notif, and the app picks it up. A range, a couple of kilometers. Thanks for clearing that up. Well, I have you here, though. Exactly how fast did you show up to the scene of the crime? Pardon? This is a blue blood neighborhood. Do you really expect people to believe the cops lumbered their way here faster than any of you could? What exactly are you trying to say? Yes, I'm tuned to that frequency. But I'm tuned to a lot of frequencies. It's a good way of communicating without the megas or the pigs listening in. So you didn't get this alarm at the night of the incident. Didn't even know it went off that night. You got proof it did? Can you explain how else Officer Chopin could have gotten here? Nah, not my job too, either. It's your job to come to a fellow Blue Blood's aid when they're desperately calling for help. I didn't know Creek like that. I didn't say Creek was the one who had this. I saw where you were poking around under the head of the pod, I assumed. Creek's a stranger to me. You know you both young bloods. What? I'm guessing that's what the tattoo means. Neither of you make much effort to hide it. It is plainly visible, even in their autopsy photos. You have no idea what this ink means. Would you tell us what it means? Blood bag. What? The old god uses you as donors. Gangsters live a life of drugs, smoking, drinking, and black alley mods. They ended up with livers and kidneys that look like charred steak. Who could have guessed? Got no children because the courier killed them all. Got in the donor list because they're geriatric, who reviled the crime lord. So what did they do? Hey kid, wanna be a gangster? Let me see if you got what it takes. Hold still while I prick your finger. He tattooed our torsos, but because even if you mod off all 4 limbs, you still pump clean plasma. Every drop an indicator of quality. I'm a universal donor, so I've got 3. AAA graded, just like meat. In Creek? Save it for the trial, lady. Are we done here, you think? Not quite. Emma's argument is that Sosuke didn't escape from here. He was brought out in the other room to be questioned, and then he broke free. I know that's not true. Sosuke would have been stuck here until the police arrived if I hadn't handed him the Mag US too. Well, frame him. And a knife, also to frame him. But secondarily so that he could cut himself free from his bindings. Those bloody rags there? Remember what Sosuke told us when you first met? That he was bound in here the whole time until his bad Samaritan came along and gave him a knife. Now we know what knife he was talking about. And now I want to know whose blood this is. The blood on the bindings? It would have to belong to Sosuke, wouldn't it? All the other bodily fluids in this room do. Probably. But I need to know. Oh no, it's gonna happen again! You already done it once. What's one more time? One more time would surely make me sick. Please deny. Let us ask one of the Sinus employees on standby to analyze it. They have a record for very fast turnaround on DNA tests, I promise. I can show you customer reviews. That's right, Sinus does DNA testing. Typically, paternity tests as part of the private investigative services. They have been assisting the police with DNA analysis around the scene. I will flag the bindings to be analyzed. Wait. I've already made the request on deny. If you insist on making me test the bindings myself now, you will only be upsetting my stomach to satisfy your impatience. Fine, but I'm gonna cite this incident the next time we discuss a raise. Really is a shithole in here, though, huh? I agree with your sentiment, if not your choice of words. Feels like a cruel pace. What is it? Was there something we missed in here, Adonai? No, not in here. The windows. They were closed when Creek was shot. Still closed when Chopin and Rogers arrived on site. They were open by the time Rogers got to this room. I used that contradiction to argue for the presence of a third party. Because someone must have opened them. To go down the fire escape. And then what? They must have dropped down to the alley and ran away, right? Yeah, that's one option. What's the other? Would kill them to do some sweeping around here? I guess that would be contaminating the crime scene at this point. But then what the hell do all these cops and sinus chumps actually do? Laying on walls and screw around on their phones? I think you're being a bit harsh in your assessment. But you aren't alone in your criticism. Detective Reyes has much to say about how Sinus employees were not wearing gloves and knocking over trash. If they had picked up trash, that'd be removing evidence. The locks would light up. Adding trash, though? I don't know. Let me look for this. Garbage again already? Just start looking. If any of it requires DNA analysis. Wait, there. Red. I don't smell any blood. No, not blood. Ink. A torn page of the red ink documents. With what looks like a shoe print on it. Shall you try to match it to samples? Good luck. Cops and security types all wear the same kind of boots. On top of which, 99 of 100 shoes in the cities are made by Sim2 Megs. If the print isn't useful, that just leaves the actual text and that. Looks like the letters were run through the wash a couple dozen too many times. Well, if it isn't particularly informative. And I don't understand exactly how this clue fits in with everything else we've seen. But doesn't this seem important? Well, don't know. There's a watermark. Cyanus watermark. How could it have been lying here, neglected this whole time? Nah, princess, I'll have to call you back. Of course, wouldn't dream of it. Come on, you know me. What do you find there? More Denman's garbage. Keep it up and your calls are gonna make me look bad. Happy to be of assistance. So would you like to add this to the arcs, or should I? Well, seems like you got momentum going, so... Please don't let me get in your way. You don't wear gloves on the job, Miss Han? It's just Han, but you already know that. You probably also know that they don't really make them in my size. What if we found our fingerprints in here, or those on windows, or even upstairs? Oh man, I'd be pretty embarrassed. I almost always get rated 5 stars. So did you need me to walk you out? I'll be fine, thanks. Suit yourself. Just be careful you don't get lost. Sun's still going down soon. It's gonna be hard to find your way back in the dark. Yeah, okay. This idea is starting to look like a pretty safe bet. Your theory that Chopin was assassinated as an attack on the old god? But oh, we can confirm it. We still haven't met anyone from the old god. Though even if we had, it occurs to me they would be reluctant to speak with Sosuke Ikaria's legal team. Don't be so pessimistic. The enemy of my enemy is usually willing to at least talk. And talk is where I do all my best work. Where do we look then? You still got the address boss gave us? And it's with this amount of analyzing and also trials bullshit that we're ending tonight. Let's do a beautiful save. There we go. We're gonna be going to the bar next time. Thank you everyone for watching. Wow, this went longer than I expected, but I'm really excited. Yeah. So we're unveiling more of the conspiracy. And maybe the little lord was an adopted son. We still don't know. In any case, thank you for watching, everyone. If you appreciated what you saw, please follow. Please, if you find the monetary interest in doing so, please subscribe to the channel. It would support me a lot, and it helps me continue to do more Friday specials. Outside of that, yeah, to remind people, there won't be any streams of Off the Devil until 2 weeks later, because next week I'll be running at a Highway to Help. Please come over to watch. It will be on the Speed City Speedsters. I have a command exclamation mark marathons for that one, but also schedule for a direct link to the Steel CD Speedsters Twitch channel. I will be running there, and I will also be part of GC on Cold staff. So it'll be fun. Yeah, I hope you're excited for it as much as I am. Outside of that, you can see me on Wednesday. I will be once again doing some speedrun practice. It'll be fun. We'll be practicing Gunvolt and Yaw's Rising, because Yaw's Rising's Frost Fatale's showcase will be pretty soon. So I hope you're excited about that. In any case, let's find someone to raid, and let's have some fun. Who is up today? I think I know who we're gonna raid. If raiding Satan herself after playing Off the Devil isn't a good idea, I don't know what is. So let's go say hi to her. She is currently doing some PvZ blindfolded returns, PvZ blindfolded runs. But she is trying, like, she's doing some Peggle right now, so we're gonna be raiding into her. And have fun. She's still going strong with her subathon. So say hi, maybe donate to her cause. But yeah, I'll see you all next time for more Off the Devil or more speedrunning. Enjoy, everyone. Have a wonderful time of day. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.